Welcome to today's edition of Your Questions Answered with Father Gruner. And we've been talking about the demonic, the fact that the devil exists. We talked about exorcisms, we talked about vexations. And today we are going to talk about what we can do to protect ourselves from the devil, because in the previous program, previous two programs, Father Gruner was talking about exorcisms and prayers that actually drive the devil away. But in our daily life, there's a lot we can do to keep the devil away too, without even exorcism prayers.
Well, first of all, we have to be. The first thing, of course, is to keep the commandments of God, and the first commandment is to, not to go to fortune tellers or to use Ouija boards or things like that. Now, why does the church say that, and what's the reason behind that? Well, first of all, as I said before, St. Alphonsus says there are three causes of anything. Either a thing is caused because, we know the law of gravity. It's not that it's written anywhere, but everyone knows if I took this cup and let my hands go, it would fall. And that's what nature does. We know that. So in turn, but if I put the cup out here and it went up instead of down, then it wasn't nature. Mm-hmm. It's either the devil or God. Now, we know that God would not just do that as a magic trick. So if I left that here, I'm not going to do it because it's going to fall, is that we know the devil's playing. So in a Ouija board, for example, the people ask a question and it spells out an answer, but the pencil or whatever, the indicator spins or moves to that point. Now, how does that happen? Well, they put their hands on it or something like that. But what relationship does my hand on this table have to do with making that thing spin or turn? It has none. So implicitly, when I'm asking the question of this Ouija board to answer me, I'm implicitly, whether I realize it or not, I'm calling on the devil, since my human intelligence, even a child's intelligence, knows that I don't talk to a table. Why not? Because it's not intelligent. My intelligence figures that out intuitively. Mm-hmm. I've never seen people who are sane talking to material things. They talk to other people. They might want to make a dramatic point, but they don't seriously talk to a piece of wood. Mm-hmm. But the point I'm getting at is that if I am talking to this piece of wood, I'm not really talking to that piece of wood, but I'm talking to the intelligence behind that piece of wood. Now, it's not God, because God doesn't communicate to me that way. So it's got to be the devil. And so the devil, there have been cases known of people playing with the Ouija board just in quote-unquote innocence, it's not innocent, and becoming possessed because they put themselves in that line of danger. I can tell you another something I saw with my own eyes. It's before I was a priest, but I went to a family's home. I've known these people for years and years, and I knew the adults and I knew the children. So I happened to go downstairs, and the children were different, very ages. Let's say from 20 to 10 or something like that. And there's about 7 or 8 of them sitting around a chair, and one person was sitting in the chair, and everyone else was putting their hand on the person sitting on the chair, and they were all to think, this is the game they were playing, and they were all to think of death. And at a certain moment, when the leader said, now, four of them that were closest would put one finger under the armpit here, mm-hmm. one under here, one under the knee there, and they'd lift him up, or her, whoever it was, lift him up like a feather. So I didn't participate in this thing, and I thought to myself, I said, well, this is interesting. I said, but how can that possibly take place? I think that, if I try to pick this thing up, let's say it's 35 pounds. I don't think I can lift up 35 pounds with my bare finger sideways. Now, I don't think nature has that capacity. I don't have it. They're not much stronger or much weaker than I am. I was much younger then. And I said, well, they can't do this. So I suspect there's diabolicalness. So I didn't know. I said, well, they're goodwill and all the rest of it. So I said within myself, if this is of the devil, may the Blessed Virgin stop it. And so I sat pretending to watch television in the corner of the room while paying attention with my ears what was going on mm-hmm, behind me. Mm-hmm. And I was saying Hail Marys, asking the Blessed Virgin that if this was from the devil, to not let it happen. They tried for 45 minutes. It never worked. Mm-hmm. At the end of it, they finally gave up. But what happened was this, is that the leader told everyone, she says, last time I did this, I put somebody out cold for 2 hours just by putting their hand on their head and thinking of death and playing. Obviously, they're invoking the devil, mm-hmm. unknown to themselves, And the
Yeah.
devil was
It's disguised as a parlor
yeah.
game.
And so that's the kind, you want to avoid these kind of parlor games because you're putting yourself in danger. I don't know what happened to the person. She thought the person would have died, and she should have learned from that not to do it again. But she was still doing it. Well, I told them what I did. I said I resisted by saying, now why did I do that? Because the curé of ours one time had a very pious man come to confession to him on Saturday evening, and then the next day he was there for Mass. And the curé of ours said, you have to go to confession. He said, but the curé, I've just been to confession yesterday. Must go to confession. So he went to confession. He was devoted to this curé of ours, St. John Mary Vianney. And he said, well, you were at a party game. I know, but I didn't participate. No, but you didn't resist, he says. That you're a soldier of Christ. You must resist. You can't just be neutral. Mm-hmm. Because he didn't resist. Like I found myself in this situation. I said, well, I think this is the devil. I don't know. I made it, conditional if it's from the devil, but I did resist. Remembering that, because otherwise, if I didn't resist, I would be like that man who had to go to confession because the curé of ours said, well, you didn't do your job because you didn't resist when you were there. He didn't participate. He was purposely, it was surprised on him. It was put on him at some place, a seance was taking place in his case. You have to resist. You can't just be neutral. So you can resist internally.
So the devil is real, and we don't play with the devil.
No.
We don't play with these things. So more on this topic next time.